The Mi 10i has been the hot pick in the recent time, and it has to be. It is one of the cheapest phones to come with the 5G support and 108 megapixel cameras. I had already made an impression video on the Mi 10i, so do check that video after watching this video. So in today's video, let's compare the Mi 10i's cameras with the Poco X3. So first up, let's talk about the technical bits of the sensor. Mi 10i comes with a 108 megapixel Samsung HM2 sensor, which has an aperture of f1.75. By default, it takes a 12 megapixel shots because of pixel binning, in which it combines 9 pixels into one for better low light shots. On X3, we have a 64 megapixel Sony IMX682 sensor, which has an aperture of f1.9. By default, it takes 16 megapixel shots, again because of pixel binning, but here it combines 4 pixels into one. So on paper, definitely 108 megapixel on Mi 10i seems to be a superior sensor, but how does it perform in real world? Let's find out. Now before starting, I would like to mention that all the photos are taken directly from its stock camera with everything set to auto mode. In daylight, photos from the primary camera are equally good. There isn't a lot of difference until you look closely. The Poco S3 photos are much more warmer than one taken from the Mi 10i. Also, in most of the scenarios, Poco X3 photos turned out to be a bit brighter, but again, you can adjust the exposure a bit to make it look as per your taste. The dynamic range is a lot better in Mi 10i. As you can see, the sky looks washed out in the X3, while the 10i captured it perfectly. Also, the colors are more true to life in the 10i, as you can see in this photo. Although in some scenarios, Mi 10i photos do look a bit oversaturated. So overall, there isn't much difference between the two, but if I have to pick one, I will pick the Mi 10i just because of better dynamic range. I think the Mi 10i has the potential to improve. It is very inconsistent for now and it needs some optimization. Hopefully it will get better in the future update. Next up, I had captured a couple of 108 and 64 megapixel shots, and the result might surprise you. The 64 megapixel Sony sensor on the Poco X3 actually capture more detail, and as you can see, both looks literally the same. But as soon as you zoom in, you will notice that the X3 photo has much more detail. Like here you can see the scooty is more clearly visible in the X3 photos, while 10i photo looks soft. Here's another shot. Both the photos look equally good, but again, as soon as you zoom in, you can see the X3 photos has much more detail than the 10i. So yeah, it's quite surprising to see that the 64 megapixel camera is actually performing better than a 108 megapixel camera. I don't know if it can be fixed with the software update, but as for now, X3 64 megapixel photos is definitely better than the 108 megapixel photo of the Mi 10i. Now to the low light photos. Again, both the phone takes some really good pictures, but the 108 megapixel camera on the Mi 10i captures much more light thanks to its bigger sensor. It also got more details and overall it clicks a bit better photos than the X3. Sometimes X3 does capture more details like in this photo, but mostly 10i photos are better. Both the phones also comes with a night mode support, and here Mi 10i is the clear winner. Now before moving further, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more tech content like these. Now since both the phone runs on MIUI, both gets the same camera app, and you get loads of camera filters and camera modes. Like you get a vlog mode where you can create a short vlog style transition video, a long exposure mode where you can take some amazing pictures like these. So yeah, it's a pretty feature loaded camera app. Both the phones comes with the wide angle camera and there is no competition. X3 takes much better photos thanks to its higher resolution 13 megapixel sensor. Here are some of the sample shots taken from the wide angle camera of both the phones. Now let's move on to the selfie camera. So we have a 16 megapixel f2.5 sensor on the Mi 10i and a 20 megapixel f2.2 on the X3, and both the phones are too close, except for the fact that X3 captures better skin tones than the 10i, so I will give this one to the X3. Next up, let's talk about the videos. Both the phone supports 4K video recording at 30 fps, and the video quality itself is better in the Mi 10i. Although 10i tends to have a warmer tone, while the X3 seems to be more balanced. Now the biggest plus for the Mi 10i is that it gets a better stabilization and dynamic range. Also, we do notice some focus hunting issues on the X3 which isn't present on the Mi 10i, so overall Mi 10i is a better phone for videos. It's really hard to choose a clear winner. Both the phones are too close, you can't go wrong with either of them. Definitely Mi 10i's 108 megapixel camera is much more capable, but it lacks a proper optimization, and hopefully it will get better in the future updates. Anyway, if you are looking for a camera phone which takes some amazing low light photos, which also has a 5G capabilities, 10i is the only option under 25k as of now. But if you are considering 10i just for cameras, don't buy it. X3 is still providing almost a similar camera experience at a much lower price. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. Until then, thanks for watching. Talk to you guys in the next one.